Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. It's been a little while. Sorry, it's been like a month since I posted a video. I've kind of just been off and traveling, coming back here, getting reacquainted and readjusted to living in the mountains. And as you can see behind me, I'm at my house in Colorado, and we had a huge snowstorm last week. We had probably 3 feet. That's almost a meter to you European friends of mine. So it's been a little crazy. Like the last 4 days, it snowed pretty much off and on the whole time. And then yesterday the sun came out and melted all the snow out of the trees, and it's been glorious. So really beautiful. Anyway, while we're together again, let's talk a little bit about the closing. I didn't talk about that when I purchased my house in Italy. So today's episode, we're going to talk about the closing of an Italian property. Okay, welcome back. So the closing, it was really pretty interesting, really straightforward. I mean, it took like 30 minutes, I think. So first of all, the person that officiates, for lack of a better term, the closing is a notaio. So the translation would be notary, but it's not anything like a notary in the United States. In the notary in the United States, they basically just identify or confirm your identity and stamp to show that you are who you say you are. So you show them an ID. That's pretty much all a notary is. Anyone can be a notary. Pretty straightforward. No offense to notaries out there. I respect all of you. But in Italy, this individual, he's got some cachet, some control, some power, apparently. He didn't seem like he was a government entity, a person that worked for the government, but everyone was very deferential to him. They definitely respected him, and they always referred to him as notaio, and he definitely, he was in charge of the show, and super nice guy, really great. So basically what happened is we all met. There were 4 owners. They all were there personally. A couple of them lived in Genoa, which is like a little over an hour away, maybe an hour and a half. A couple of them lived in nearby towns. But we all met. We all hung out. My realtor was there, her associate, and then myself, the notary, and the 4 sellers. So we all sat down around a big table, and he literally just speed read through this document. It's pretty incredible. I mean, he literally pronounced every word, but I was following along, and like it was kind of ridiculous, quite honestly. But it's really straightforward. It was a 5-page document. I got a copy of the closing document before. I translated it, read it all, asked Paula any questions I might have. She clarified what was going on. And technically, I'm supposed to be fluent in Italian at a closing, and he asked me if I was, and honestly, I'm not fluent in Italian, but I could read the document. I can read Italian pretty well, and I'd read it all in English before, and I followed right along as he read and saw everything. So I felt comfortable with it. Paula said we could get a translator, but I think she said it's like €1,000 an hour for them to come and translate that, because they have to legally state that their translation was legally correct. So they're liable if there's a mistake. So it's super expensive, and quite honestly, I mean, unless something comes up that I missed during the closing and it comes back to bite me in the ass, I will be fine with what happened. So we all sat down around the table, the sellers on one side, me on the other, and the notary just read through the document. Pretty straightforward. And the document, I'll just talk briefly about the document. So it had 9 sections, like I said, 5 pages, really pretty easy. Hold on, let me grab it right here. I have it on my tablet. So the very first section at the top, it just says that this is a sale in the Republic of Italy, and it lists the 4 sellers and their tax ID number, and then me as the buyer and my tax ID number. Ooh, incidentally, remember all this rigmarole, all this drama about the Codice Fiscale, and then I applied for it 2 months ago with the consulate here in the United States and never heard back from them, checked with them, and anyway, never happened. Fortunately, Paula had an idea that it might not work out remotely, and she had an appointment for me the morning of the closing. We walked in there with an appointment, waited for like 10 minutes. The guy at the front desk who, gives out the numbers, he's like, "What are you here for?" "Oh, Codice Fiscale." "Okay." And Paolo was there with me, and he's like, "Here, fill out this form while you're waiting." So I filled it out. And then finally he says, "Okay, here, he's ready to give you the Codice Fiscale." And we walked over to the computer. He looked at the document, typed in for about 2 minutes, printed out a sheet of paper and said, "Here you go. Here it is." I mean, it was super easy. It took, 15 minutes of waiting maybe, and then 5 minutes when we got to his desk. So, this is another example of the idea of incredible bureaucracy and delays in Italy, that it's really tough to do stuff. And don't get me wrong, I know there's going to be a time where that happens for sure, and I'm going to see it, I'm going to feel it. But I'm just going to say I haven't yet, because it's closing, the Codice Fiscale, and everything I've had to do so far, and a couple of things I did after I purchased it with the municipality, I'll mention it later, also pretty smooth. So I don't know, fingers crossed. Let's just hope it stays that way. But so the document starts out, lists all 5 of us, the 4 sellers and myself. Really straightforward. Then the first part is consent and object. So basically, it just says that they're selling the house and I'm buying it, and that we're in agreement. I mean, that's really super, super easy. It also says that the sections, the house that's listed in the city, is accurate. So there's a cadastral map that the municipality has, and based off this, they assess a tax value, and that's a cadastral value. So that's what I pay property taxes based on. So this document, it's like a floor plan of the house. It has to be approved by the city. If there's any changes to the property, they have to be noted in that document. So it's kind of the equivalent. So basically what it says is, it says that there's, it's split up into four units actually. My place is split up. It's got the garage is like a separate document. The first floor is a separate document. The second floor is a separate document. And then I think the entrance and the storage on the main floor is also a separate one. So these are all different values. And I don't remember if the very top floor was actually a separate one, because that'd be the 5th one, but it's something like that. So it just basically says that these are the actual layouts, and that's got 2 bathrooms, and it only listed 1 kitchen. But I asked Paul about that, and she said the other kitchen was in before like 1967 or something like that, or 1987. There was 1 year where all the stuff had to be documented after that year. So if there's anything that had happened before that, that was kind of like grandfathered in. So what's important is that everything that's in there, that's actually physically there, is documented in this cadastral document. So so that would be the equivalent of, let's say you build a bathroom, you put a bathroom in your house and you don't get it permitted. So then someone comes to buy your house and the city doesn't know it's there, it hasn't been inspected and all that stuff. So it causes a huge hassle. And basically what you're saying here when I'm signing it, I'm saying, hey, I accept anything that's been done to that house that isn't documented here. And they're saying there's been nothing changed that's not documented on here. So that's a really important section. So that's section 1. Section 2 is clarification and exclusions. It's just saying that this includes everything and whatever's inside of it. So they didn't want anything that was inside there. So the furniture, and actually I think this was a family member that owned the house before, and he passed away in like 2014, and all his possessions are there. They didn't want anything. His clothes are there, his mail, dishes in the kitchen, all that stuff. So it's a little weird. That's in the upper unit. So it's a little strange. But yeah, I guess they didn't really want any of that stuff. So everything was included. So that's a really super easy one. The next one section is the price and legal mortgage. And it basically just says what our agreed upon price was for the purchase. Super easy. The other thing, though, it goes through here and it talks about how the payments are going to go through, and then how they're going to be dispersed, how I paid for it, and then how the notaio is going to disperse payments to the sellers. So basically, it's kind of like the escrow. It's like a title company here in the United States. The money is held with the notaio, and then he sends it out. So it was split evenly to each of the 4 sellers, and that's stipulated in here as well. So again, really straightforward, super easy. Part 4, guarantees and provenance. So basically, this one's going through and just saying the selling party declares and guarantees that what is deduced in this contract belongs to it, full ownership having reached in virtue of. So basically it's saying their family member that passed away, his name was Sergio, it's saying that he owned it, first of all, and it goes back to say when he bought it, like more than 20 years ago, like 1982. And then it says that when he passed away, that these sellers legally gained ownership of it. So it's going back in some history, doing some research, again, like a title company in the United States, really similar. The notario does all that stuff. So that's really cool. And then it talks about some of the other any other encumbrances that might be on here, like any debts that might be on here, like other mortgages. So the notario did find a couple of things, and a couple of the members of the owners had taken out mortgages on this place. And they say in here that they've paid them back in full, but they're still listed as active. So basically what this document says is that if they don't clarify that and close those up by a certain amount of time, they won't get paid until that's clarified. And if they don't take care of it, then the notario is going to pay it off out of their proceeds. So it really just protects me to make sure there's no other debt and there's not anything that I'm inheriting when I take this property on. So that's a really cool one. That's pretty incredible. So that's taken care of. And that's number 4. Part number 5 says possession and detention. So basically it's just saying that from today, this closing, day of this closing, I own it. And that's what it says. Right today, from today, the purchasing party is placed in legal possession and material possession of this property. So, boom, done. That means I'm the owner. Number 6 is an energy efficiency report. It's an urban planning regulation. I'm guessing this is probably some Italian or European Union rule. And there's a big, long thing, and you have to do energy audits in every place you buy. And obviously these old places aren't super energy efficient, so they have a kind of a low rating, but there's a letter rating system. It's like A+, A minus, then B, C, D, E, F, G, or something like that. So, and they each, the lower G is like the worst you could get. So it just talks about that, and that's a pretty big section in here, but it says that we agreed to waive the reading of it because really, who cares? I mean, that's not a big deal to me. Part 7 is tax discipline. So it's just kind of tax. It says that I'm subject to the registration tax, how much I'm going to pay in taxes when I purchase it, and that's going to the government. So because of the cadastral value and the taxation, that was an amount that I had to pay above. So I think the purchase price was 65,000 euros, and then here it was like 11,000 euros in taxes, just because the cadastral value is quite high for that property. It varies depending on the property, but so that was one of the ones there. And then number 8 is just a simple one sentence privacy statement saying that I have the right to privacy. And then the last one is expenses. It says the cost of the deed are borne by the purchasing party as per law. So that means I'm going to pay for the notario and pay the taxes with the state. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's the document. That's the whole purchase right there. I mean, nine sections, and it took like 30 minutes. So we had to pass around the floor plan that the municipality has, and we all had to sign it. And I first did, like a legal document signature in the United States, no one can read that. And then Paula's assistant said, or partner said, no, you have to sign this like you would in school, really carefully. I said, oh, okay. And she's like, notaio, is this okay? Can this one be okay? And he's like, yeah, okay. And then the rest of them, I all signed really, really carefully. So that was it. And then when we were done, 30 minutes maybe at tops. And so then we all walked out, shook hands. We walked down. We were kind of waiting down outside. And the minute we walked outside, every single one of them lit up a cigarette, including the realtors. And I was just standing there in a cloud of smoke and just kind of wondering what's going on. And they insisted that we go for a drink. They said, we need to go for a drink. Let's celebrate. So we went to a nearby coffee shop, and a couple of them had like an aperitif or something, maybe an Aperol Spritz or something. And I had an espresso. And we just sat there and talked for a little bit. And they had some questions like, what are you going to use it for? Is it going to be a holiday home? Are you going to move there? Are you going to remodel it? And so it was really fun. And they were super nice. And, everything went really well. And then, it was just a little awkward for me. It's kind of strange. And they were super sweet, super friendly. And in fact, one of the sellers, she's like, hey, we'd love to come see it after you get done working on it. And now you know someone in the area, we'll be friends with you and we'll help you out if you have questions. So really, really sweet. It's so funny because real estate in the United States is so adversarial. And I think to a great extent, it's the realtors that play that up because they don't want you talking to each other. Otherwise, what's their job, right? They don't really do anything nowadays anyway. Everyone looks up everything online, sees the pictures, looks at the satellite images, looks at the walkthrough videos, drone footage, whatever, finds about schools, property taxes. The only thing a realtor does now in the United States, in my opinion, is unlock the door. Gives you a key so you can walk through. For me, at least, I'm pretty comfortable with buying real estate. So, for a lot of people, maybe they do provide a really valuable service. But anyway, that's another story. I've got very strong opinions on that. But yeah, that was it. And then we just kind of went our separate ways. And I was walking around just thinking, holy crap, I just bought a house in Italy. This is something I've been wanting to do for 20 years. So it was pretty kind of surreal. It took a little while to sink in, a couple of days for sure. But anyway, so now I'm back here in Colorado. I'm just kind of starting to make plans for when I'm going to go back. I'm thinking the spring. I did talk to a contractor, one of the contractors I was referred to when I was over there. We'll talk about that in another episode. But there's going to be some stuff coming up. I'd like to get them lined up so when I get there in the spring, we can start work right away. So things are kind of moving. Just a quick story about when I came back to the United States. I flew back and, I'm originally from Minnesota. I live in Colorado. My parents live in Arizona now, but my brother and sister and their families live up in Minnesota. So my mom and dad really wanted to have like a little family get together reunion, I guess you could call it, but just have everyone there. And she planned it because of everyone's schedule so hard. She planned it for like 2 days after I got back. So I literally flew from Europe to Colorado, jumped in my truck, drove 16 hours to Minnesota. Next day, we're sitting around, and about 4 p.m, I'm like a zombie dozing off, hardly able to talk to anyone because I was so jet lagged. So it wasn't the best time to do it, but it was great, and it was fun to see family. And while I was up there, I scheduled some time to see friends. So a group of high school buddies that I keep in touch with, we all got together and had dinner and some drinks, and that was fun. And then a friend of mine from high school had moved back to Minnesota from California after 10 years in California, and they had bought a house, so I wanted to hang out and see those guys. Played around to golf, and and then I went back to my alma mater, Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to college, and saw some friends there that live there, and we got to hang out, and we had a really good time, and so it was a blast. So it was a really good time. By then, my jet lag was over. Then I had to drive, 16, 17 hours back here, 18 hours back to my house in Colorado. So needless to say, I wasn't really feeling like making videos. I was tired. Just trying to like regroup and reacclimate to being back in the United States and all that stuff. So sorry for the delay, but here we go. And I'll be back on the ball here. I don't know if every week, but for sure, I'm going to shoot for every other week at the very minimum. But there's going to be more content coming up here soon. I'm going to have a lot more stuff happening and going on. So I'll be really happy to talk about that. Gosh, there was one other thing that I said I wanted to talk about a little bit later that I just mentioned earlier in the video. What was that? Let me think about that. Okay, I remembered the other thing I was going to talk about. I was talking about the Codice Fiscale and the, the bureaucracy in Italy, and that I haven't really seen it. So one of the things that we did also is Paula came back and met me on Monday. The closing was on Friday. She met me on Monday, and a locksmith came over and changed the locks, and she met the locksmith and myself, and we were going to open up a bank account, but it turns out that bank in the little town is closing like next month or something. So they didn't want to open up a new account for me because they were going to be closing. So, but we also wanted to register with the municipality as the new owner. So literally, it's around the corner from my house. I mean, I'm right off the main square, and it was like a 5-minute walk. And we walk in there. Paula explains what's going on. They're like, "Oh yeah, go back, up to her office." So we walk up this woman's office, and Paula says, "Oh, I'm here with Michael Kiernan, the new owner of this property." And she says, "Oh yeah, I think I have your document." She walks over the shelf, pulls off the signed document. I mean, the closing was in a different city, like 30, 40 miles away. And it was on Friday afternoon. And here we are at Monday morning, and she already has the physical document in her hand. So it turns out, I think she knows the notaio is what the deal was, or she had met with them, and they just like, "Oh yeah, by the way, someone just bought a house in your city. Here's the document." But again, I mean, that's pretty incredible, pretty efficient. So we sat there for a while, and I filled out a couple of forms about what I wanted to do for trash service. She's like, if you're not going to be here full time, you probably don't want trash pickup at your house. So we'll just give you keys to where the trash is dropped off nearby, and you can just drop your trash off when you have a chance. And here's keys. Here's a key for the recycling. Here's a key for the trash, because it's like locked. So I was like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. And then she said, okay, for your taxes, when you come back in the spring, just stop in here and we'll know how much you owe for taxes, and we'll get everything set up. And she's like, let me have your email address so we can send you notifications, make sure you get informed. And, we were there for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe. Took care of all the documents for the city. I'm registered as a new owner. I have trash service set up. Taxes were set up. Yeah, I mean, actually, not too bad. Maybe this is because we're in a little tiny small town with less than 1,000 people, but I don't know. Maybe if you're in a big city, for sure. I'm guessing in Rome, you walk into one of their offices, it's probably going to be a little bit more complex process to get stuff done. But anyway, my experiences so far have regarding bureaucracy in Italy have been, okay. So fingers crossed. Let's hope that continues. But okay, I think that's all for this week. I know I've been gone for a while. I could probably ramble on for quite a bit longer. But let's just stop there. And next week I'm going to have another video. I haven't decided on the topic yet, but we'll see you again soon. Thanks again, you guys, for following along. It's been incredible. And this break has been really nice, but I'm really excited to get back into it. And every day almost I'm thinking about, remodeling, what I'm going to do, what I want to change, what needs to get done. Getting some estimates hopefully ahead of time before I get back there and get people lined up to work there. So yeah, there's going to be a lot happening come this spring. And I think over this winter, I'm going to get quite a bit of stuff done too. So, okay, we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again. And hey, by the way, if you haven't subscribed, please click on the subscribe button, click on the little bell to get notifications when I do post these, because it's maybe not going to be every Friday morning now. It might be a little bit different. In fact, this one I think I'm going to post this weekend instead of waiting until next Friday. But we'll see. But stay tuned, and thanks again for following. Hey, did you hear that snowfall behind me? Melting out of the trees? Okay, you guys, talk to you later.